So there are different aspects that you can look at diversity. This presentation will focus more on the diversity in the workforce, what it means, and why the museum field need to be diverse in terms of workforce. A lot of the ideas we're going to be talking about today is already published in a paper called Connecting the Dots, the impact of diversity in the museum workforce on innovation, relevance, and audience engagement. So, you can take notes, but if you want to go deeper in the discussion and understand some of the fundamental issues around diversity and inclusion, you can go to this paper. It's published as part of Museums in the World Conference proceeding, which was in Vancouver, Canada, last April. Again, the name of the paper is Connecting the Dots, the impact of diversity in the museum workforce on innovation, relevance, and audience engagement. If you can go to the second slide, please. So this is the problem we have in the field. I'm sure some of you are already familiar with this graph, or you've seen it before. So this is a study that was conducted in 2015, commissioned by Andrew Mellon Foundation, and they looked at art museums to see who's working in art museums. And this is what they found. They found that Native Hawaiian, for example, 0% representation in the museum field. If you look at African Americans or Black, 4%. If you look at Asian, 6%, and actually the report states, except the Asian population, all the other minority groups are not reflecting the demographics of the United States. So this is the problem we're facing in the field. That even the problem more concerning in inner cities, because if you look at the population you're serving, majority are African American. So, like in New Orleans, for example, 60% of New Orleans are African Americans. So when you look at the demographics of the people working in the museum field not reflecting, that the community served, this is a problem. And again, we're going to explain why it's a problem and how it's impacting museum work. So, Nicole yesterday touched upon the difference between diversity and inclusion, and I want to explore this idea a little bit more. So when we talk about diversity and inclusion, people kind of bundle them together as if they seem or they mean the same thing, but of course they're not. And actually some people some institution takes superficial understanding of diversity, so they hire, one African American, one Asian, male, female, put them together, take a nice picture, put it on the website, they become diverse. But this is not what it is. You have to be inclusive as well. Diversity is just one step of a process that you need to consider if you want to be diverse and inclusive. Inclusion is a process that the museum make its organizational culture, policies, environment inclusive to everybody, conducive to everybody, where every employee can reach their fullest potential. This is the idea of diversity. And the opposite of inclusion is exclusion. It's not good enough that you have different people work in the same room. You have to be working in a team spirit. So this is very important when we think about diversity and inclusion. Can we go next? Before I talk about this graph, if you are being diverse and not inclusive, that can cause some problems because people will not feel welcome in the institution, which can give the impression that diversity is not a good thing. We're not getting along. So why would we be diverse? We need just people who work who we can communicate with, who look like us, who speak the same language, who celebrate the same way we celebrate, so that way things are easier. So diversity without inclusion can be a problem, can cause problems. So now let's look at how diversity can impact museum work. So if you look at the bottom of this graph, diverse workforce that reflects the local community, basically, and I have heard this question many times during this conference, how we can communicate with the local community. Well, it's really easy. It's to be part of the community. It's not the hard. It's just, if you have people who are leaders in the community, work for your museum, for your archive, for your gallery, it comes naturally. You don't need to make an effort. You understand, they come to you, for a daily basis. You create programs that, they're interested in. So you don't need to design a specific strategy to include them because you're part of the community. So when you have this diverse workforce, what happens is you become more innovative. And when I say innovation, some smaller museums and culture organizations kind of become intimidated with the term, and they feel innovation is only for big museums who have money and have budgets and they can create digital things. And so this is the idea about innovation, but it's not true. Innovation is necessary for any organization, small, medium, and large. And the reason is if you keep doing the same thing over and over, employing the same ideas, same concepts, people will be bored, right? Why would they keep coming back to you when you're presenting the same thing, same exhibition, same idea about the exhibition, same narrative? It's not exciting anymore. So you have to be innovative. Not in a big scale, but somehow being innovative. So diverse workforce help you do that, is to have this large pool of ideas, perspectives, experiences that you can pull from, that you can create innovative things, innovative exhibitions, programs, whatever you're working on. And when that happens, that increases public trust and image, the institution image in the community, because they feel like they're reflected. Their ideas are there already. They have representation in the institution. So that increases also public trust. And what happens when you're being innovative and people trust you and your image in the community is positive? More audience engagement, right? People will come to you. They want to interact with you. They want to ask you questions. They come to you when they have problems. So this is how workforce diversity can help museums figure out ways to be more involved in the community. One of the great things I heard during this conference, and I think just, it impacted me in many different ways, is the first day when we went to the knock-knock presentation, and they said they have autistic employee work for them because they are serving this population and they wanted to understand things around the population, how they can serve them better. So they thought that having somebody who's autistic and work in the organization help them achieve this goal. And that's exactly what we need to be doing. If you want to serve the African American community, well, you need to employ African Americans. Very, very simple. If you want to serve Hispanic population, maybe you need to have Hispanic employees in your institution. But let's understand that the idea is not to have people with just different skin colors or hair textures, or this is not the goal. The goal is you have this pool of perspective, you know, these people who come with great ideas that you can employ in your organization, in your museum. So today, I don't know how we're doing this time. Good? Okay. So today we have two case studies that we would like to share with you. The first one is from New Orleans Museum of Art. So it's kind of, you know, large scale or larger scale. It's not huge, but, you know, kind of relatively bigger vision of what can be done in the museum field to change the demographics. And NOMA's program is supported by Ford Foundation, who dedicated maybe, I think, like $6 million for museums to explore ideas to diversify their workforce. And the other case study is from the community bookstore with Vera, who worked with us at the Museum Studies program, and actually that was her final project. And she got a grant from Geometry Foundation to do this program. So we're going to be hearing two different perspectives, and then we're going to have some questions and answers, and hopefully we can engage in a bigger discussion on your individual institution, what can be done, and how things can be improved, and, you know, if you want to share some ideas, that's fine. I know sometimes diversity is, especially in the workforce, can be kind of touchy topic. One time I was talking to a colleague, and I was telling him about diversity, how it's important. He was like, yeah, I know the D word. I was like, D word? Is it like profanity to see diversity? So it's kind of, you know, but we need to talk about this. This is very important. We cannot neglect it, and I'm very excited that LAM this year decided to go ahead and discuss this topic very timely. So now I'm going to ask Jennifer to start her presentation. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, how are you this morning?
Good.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll spend about 10 minutes discussing some of the topics that Dr. Eid has already shared with us. But I wanted to share the really dynamic and amazing program at the New Orleans Museum of Art. I'm the Youth and Family Program Manager there. And we have instituted a program that's funded through the Ford Foundation and the Walton Family Foundation, which has supported a lot of different workforce development and diversity in art museum leadership initiatives. New Orleans Museum of Art is one of 20 organizations in the country that is participating in this initiative. And we have this really amazing program for high school students that engages them in museum work. The program started in 2016, continued in the summer of 2017, and now in 2018. It's our third year, so we've been able to work with a wide variety of students. We started with 5 students in the program, all young women. We work with students that are 11th and 12th grade, and then it grew to 9 students, then it grew to 10 students. So this past summer, we completed a 6-week program. What's really amazing about the program, it's a paid internship. I'm definitely an advocate for paid internships. It allows people to choose museum work and opportunities. And so we had students from 2 different organizations, KIP Renaissance, which is located on St. Claude Avenue in New Orleans, and then McMain Secondary School, which is located uptown. What's really special is that we advanced from 1 school to 2, and I thought it would be really amazing to have the students from different locations in the city interact with each other, so that was a key part of the program. This is our 3rd year. We have a pretty good sized budget. It's a 3-year commitment from these 2 foundations, the Ford Foundation and the Walton Family Foundation, for $45,000 for that summer. And what that entails is we have the opportunity to engage the students, pay the students stipends. So that's an incredible part. We're able to pay the students $10 an hour to come from Tuesday through Friday from 9:30 to 4:30. We also engage a Creative Careers Associate, so another individual that works on the program with me. And that individual is a mentor to the students. So this year we had Luciana Keller-Evans from SUNO Museum Studies program. She's also a doctoral student at LSU. student, she's an art teacher at St. Mary's Academy, and everything from how to produce their work, but then also thinking about a creative career. For example, 8 out of the 10 students had never been in a job interview before. So this is not just a creative career program, but it's an opportunity to engage students in their first job opportunity in the museum setting. So I wanted to reiterate too that the program is a paid internship, which allows the opportunity for the students to participate. We also provide transportation to and from their home. So in the morning, the van picks the students up, brings the students to the museum, and then gives us an opportunity to have breakfast together and then engage in different activities by the day. So we have it structured in a way where each day of the week they are engaged in professional programs. Some of the programs include having a professional mentoring session where we bring in individuals from other museums, galleries. We have one of our board members, Kenya Messer from LSU, come in and talk to the students about college preparedness. We have business owners come in and talk about resume writing and interview skills. And then we also have staff members that have been really dedicated in spending their time with the students and mentoring them in different opportunities. So we had the Learning and Engagement Department at the New Orleans Museum of Art talk about what each role consisted of. So for example, I'm the Youth and Family Program Manager. I'm going to speak to the students about what it was like on my day-to-day job. How did I get into the field? What interests me about the field? Erin Greenwald, the curator of programs at NOMA at the time, talked to the students about her educational background, the kind of programs that she's developed that has really transformed the museum, and engaged the students in ideas around what they could also do and participate in. The students also receive a year-long membership, which I think is a great part of the program. It encourages the students, even after the 6 weeks, to come back. This is given to the students for free. It's a dual membership, so they're also able to bring family members and friends. I want to talk about the creative career job shadowing. So we don't want the students in the multiple departments to feel that they're just working with one group of individuals. So we've had everyone from the curatorial department, accounting, development, event management, and HR spend at least an hour in that week with the students, kind of describing their day-to-day activities to engage young people in thinking about ways they can take on a career in a museum or a gallery space. We usually do that on a Tuesday or a Friday, but the really special part of the program is every Wednesday we would do university visits. So in the 6 weeks, we arrange for 6 university visits to places like Tulane University, Dillard, Xavier, and in that we had a student provide a tour and then also have someone from their admissions office really talk to the students about how do they structure their application, how do they apply to the university, what kind of standards for scholarships, how do they find financial aid, all within that visit. And we provide the transportation to each one of these site visits. We also do over 20 museum and gallery visits. And what's really special about that is members of different museums and galleries in New Orleans have given their time. So for example, we spent over an hour and a half with the founder and the collector of Stella Jones Gallery. And she's an incredible individual who's owned Stella Jones Gallery for over 25 years, I believe. She spent time with us in going over how she became a collector, speaking to each individual student, and even offered one of our students a photography internship. So really going deeper than taking the students on a tour, but engaging the students to think about what they can become. So we have students that are identified by their guidance counselors and art teachers. At McMain High School, for example, Shalene Jones is the teacher there, and she's an incredible sculptor that has a piece of work in the Armstrong Park. She did the Tootie Montana sculpture. And so there are, in New Orleans, a lot of art teachers that are engaged in community and are able to identify artists and youth artists that are interested in the program. So we had 13 applicants. this year, and we had 10 slots. So we go through an interview process. We have an application, 2 recommendations, and then we interview the students. And that way they go through the process of what it would be like to have an internship or have a job interview in the future as well. We meet with the staff for professional development. So not only were we able to meet with Stella Jones, but we were able to go to the Contemporary Art Center, for example. We received a tour, but then we were able to sit down in the boardroom with staff and talk about how those staff members got engaged in the career that they're in. So we met with the Director of Education and Public Programs at the Contemporary Art Center and also the Education Coordinator, who talked about their initial experience in the career and what ways they wanted to kind of just go forward in their career. And I think spending time with those staff members makes it accessible to the students. We had staff members of different racial backgrounds, economic backgrounds, and so the students are able to see themselves in the programs and projects. We went to the World War II Museum, for example, and the curator of collections talked about her day-to-day activities and what she does and how she was able to get into that position. And lastly, we have a group project that we work on. I think it's really important to incorporate this part. We have group discussions that are from everything from our museum and university visits. What was your favorite work of art? Who was the favorite person that you spoke with today? What career advice did they give you that was really effective for your decision making? Once again, these are juniors and seniors in high school, so they're really thinking about what colleges they want to go to, what career they want to go in. It's helping to shape their ideas around what their potential is. We also do a presentation where through the 6 weeks they spend time working together. And I thought it was really incredible to have students from different schools. So we paired them together and then had the students work on a video project. The video project was an introductory video to visiting the New Orleans Museum of Art. We have that example here, and what I thought was really incredible is we engaged the students in writing the script, developing the crew, so they shot the video and they also edited the video. So for many of the students, I would say about 7 of the students, it was their first time working on a collective video project together. And it's a product that can be utilized on the New Orleans Museum of Art's website. But most importantly, when individuals are contacting us around visiting the museum for school visits, it's an introductory video for younger students to be able to see what they're going to see, what they're going to hear, and what they're going to engage with at the New Orleans Museum of Art. So I have an example of the video. I'm hoping the sound works.
We ask that you please refrain from touching the artwork and please no running. Also, no food or drinks are allowed while exploring the museum.
NOMA is one of the top art museums in the world. The museum is a place where visitors of all ages can experience a variety of arts and cultures from different places and time periods around the world.
There are many popular locations of the museum, such as the neoclassical exhibit, located on both sides of the Great Hall, the gift shop directly across from the NOMA Cafe. On the second floor, we have modern and contemporary art, and our third floor holds our non-Western art and artifacts such as pre-Columbian, Indian, Asian, and African. Last but not least, enjoy the artwork and have fun. We hope to see you soon, and thanks for watching.
So what's really incredible too is that the students developed this in 6 weeks on a team of other students that they had never met in their lives. And we're going to utilize it on our website and also to send out to other individuals who are visiting the museum. What's great too is that they're high school students, both male and female, and they're able to introduce it to younger students that are visiting. We have another tier of internship program as well. I want to introduce you to the Professional Pathways Internship, which is funded by the Walton Family Foundation. And it's for undergraduate and graduate students from HBCUs, which are historically Black universities and colleges. In New Orleans, for example, HBCU is Dillard University, Xavier University, the Southern University of New Orleans. And it's specifically for students to be placed in the curatorial education programming departments. It's again a paid internship. It's $3,000 per semester, which consists of about 10 weeks, 10 to 12 weeks. The students complete between 120 and 150 hours. And they have opportunities each semester in spring, summer, and fall. What's really key about the program is that we do a lot of career planning and preparation. So not only are the students assigned duties and tasks that involve them in key positions in the departments that they're assigned in, we've had students with curatorial departments that have helped with developing exhibition materials, with exhibition openings. They've assisted with programming and film screenings. One of our learning and engagement professional pathways interns was hired onto a position at the museum after her internship. So these are giving key behind the scenes skills that you need to participate in the different departments. We also have professional networking opportunities. What's great is that the curators and the staff of New Orleans Museum of Art are so open to spending time with students and really sitting down and working with the students. And so we have students assist us with exhibition openings. They assist us with artist talks. So they have an opportunity to meet professional artists and other curators from around the world. And then we also offer membership to the museum as well. And so this gives the student time for an entire year or more to have a dual membership, bring additional family members and friends to the museum, which also gets them into Friday Nights at NOMA, which is a program we do from 5 to 9 on Friday nights, but also to the museum as general admission any day of the week. We also really engage the students in the Professional Pathways program to think about what their future career path will be. So our current learning engagement curator student, for example, now is very much interested in education policy reform. And she spent a summer in DC working with schools through the UNCF Walton Family Foundation collaboration, thinking about education reform, and now wants to really think about arts integration. So working in the education and programming departments in the art museum is something that's really going to help her further her connections to schools in New Orleans, but then around the country as well. I want to introduce Vera Warren Williams, who I've had worked with for many years. She's the founder and leader of the Community Book Center, and she runs a program that's very similar to Creative Careers. So we have an institutional approach, but we also have the community-based approach. And I've had an opportunity to speak with the students in the Youth Arts Mentoring Program at the Community Book Center, and they're an incredible group of high school students, but what I really love is that she starts at even a younger age. So I think the point is really to think about introducing creative careers, whether in museums, galleries, to students at young ages, and continue that exposure. Many of the students that we work with had never been to the New Orleans Museum of Art. Some of the students they had participated in programs. And in the 20+ organizations that we also did as site visits, many of the students hadn't visited those cultural institutions. And the students were from New Orleans, so we thought, this is a summer that could really transform in 6 weeks. the concept of where they will go. And as working artists, many of the students were filmmakers, photographers, themselves fashion designers. This was going to advance their career in the future. So Vera.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I must first start by saying I am extremely excited about being able to present to you today for a number of reasons. I would just go first by saying, as they introduced me, I am the founder and director of Community Book Center. And for those of you who are not familiar with Community Book Center, we are more than a bookstore. We are a meeting place and a cultural and literary hub in New Orleans, and we primarily sell books by and about people of African descent. In addition to, we host community meetings and gatherings. Community Book Center was founded this month, 35 years ago. We celebrate our 35th anniversary on September the 28th of this year, and Community Book Center was born as a result of me being a substitute teacher in the public school system and not finding books and other educational materials that were diverse, that were inclusive of other populations and other people, particularly people of color. So, as a social work student at the time at Southern University, I traveled a lot to conferences such as this, and I began to collect and build my personal library, which included books of African American children and also books that had a narrative that began pre-slavery. Oftentimes we think of African American or African history as like starting with slavery. So Community Book Center was about the business of debunking those myths and presenting the true history and culture of people of African descent. I would like to say that my initial interest in the whole museum field began in 1978 when I attended the first meeting of, at that time, the Black Museum Association, which is now AAAM, the African American Association of African American Museums. I was amazed and awed at just the information that is one presented in museums and then also just presented about people. And museums oftentimes tell the story of people and cultures. And at the time, they showed a film called Ethnic Notions. In addition to that, there was an exhibition of stereotypical images. And I was offended by the images that I saw of the mammies and the pickaninnies and all of the other derogatory things that I saw.